water, Mama, to be high and right. How high is the water, Papa?
The Eufaula Dam Project was conducted by the students and faculty of Eufaula Middle School during the 2013, 14, and 15 school years. This project was in correlation with the 50th year anniversary of the completion of the Eufaula Dam. Various interviews were conducted by the students of Eufaula Middle School. The historical information and the eyewitness accounts that are detailed in this documentary were provided by the people who experienced the events that shaped what Eufaula is today, a much different place.
McIntosh County is located in east-central Oklahoma. It has a landmass of 712 square miles, which today 90 square miles of it lies underwater. The population of this county is estimated to be 22,000, with an average household income of $25,964.
The county's largest geological feature is Lake Eufaula, which borders the entire southern length of the county. There are three major rivers that once covered the terrain of this county: the North Fork, the North Canadian, and the South Canadian. Of course, today these major water systems make up the water that people today call Eufaula Lake.
The histories of these river basins and the flooding have been well documented, with catastrophic effects for the region and its occupants. McIntosh County, along with the Canadian River Basin, had experienced its share of these devastating floods since occupation. In 1908, the flooding was so bad that the North Canadian River channel was forever altered.
A popular and historical feature that generations of this area found intriguing and adventurous was Standing Rock, or Mary's Rock, as it was known by the early inhabitants. Standing Rock sat in the middle of the Canadian rivers, approximately 2 miles below the junction of the North and South Canadians. The sandstone rock rose 65 feet from the riverbed and was fabled to have had markings of early Spanish explorers and markings of buried treasure. The Spanish explorer Coronado spoke of the rock during his expedition of the Canadian River in 1535. To validate this claim that the Spaniards were in the region, historians point to the symbols which were carved into the rock. The carvings were about 30 feet above the base and were of a turtle and a triangle, with an axe handle attached to one point of the triangle. For centuries, the rock was used as a way marker for Native Americans, explorers, immigrants, and surveyors in Indian Territory. Standing Rock became one of the cornerstone markers of the surveyed boundary lines of the Cherokee, Choctaw, and Creek nations. Family reunions and picnics were held on the hilltop overlooking this massive piece of sandstone. Adventure seekers would walk across the river channel to state their claim of conquering the challenge of the 65-foot climb.
The rivers were, both the South Canadian and North Canadian, were great places for kids to entertain themselves. Mm-hmm. There was duck hunting in certain times of the year, and I recall one time we had gone out to look for Belle Star's treasure. Mm-hmm. It was a real hot day, so we decided to go swimming. So it was at Standing Rock, and we stripped down to our shorts and swam out to Standing Rock and climbed up on top. And then we could see gars in the river, and we decided to go back and get our rifles so we could maybe shoot some gars. So I swam back to shore, got one of the rifles, and I'm trying to figure out how I would carry the shells out there with just my shorts on. So I filled my mouth with 22 shells and swam back out to Standing Rock. And we stayed up there for a couple of hours and shot the gar.
Was it climbable? I guess the Standing Rock?
It was. Yeah.
That bunch of boys could do anything.
They've always said you couldn't climb Standing Rock, but we did.
That was another challenge.
Yeah. Yeah.
Like where you had an alfalfa field running right up to the bank. And I said bank, it was 20 or 30 foot up there. Well, when the water would flood and get high, well then it would come next to that bank and it would cave off portions of land. Well, in the low bottom it would change the direction of currents. It might go to the other side next time, but it would really get high. It wouldn't come up in our bottom land, but it would come up pretty good in all the other lowlands. And see, in Fame Bottom, we caught the North Canadian Rains Deep Fork. It would all come down and come on down to Eufaula and go. It would, there's some pretty good rains, and it would rain for several days. Seen crops lost. I've seen cottonseed that people had in their fields. They installed them, it could come down my dad's house because it's going to the river that's spillway. You see all them cottonseed just going.
Just coming down the river.
No, they was coming down our lowland, going to the river, and then you could see it in the river after it got to there.
I see.
Yeah.
In April of 1943, just as the spring cotton had been planted, the rains began. From the 22nd to the 24th of April, 24 inches of rain fell. An entire area from Muskogee to McAllister was water-soaked.
We went down just to see how it was just rolling. The waters were just rolling down through there, that river was. And so we went down this road and then stopped on the corner and we looked at it, and it was just something to see.
And to hear, too.
And to hear it, yeah. And all these logs and stuff just going down through there. And so later we thought we would go back down there and look at it again. Well, guess what? Where we were standing was gone.
The Katy Railroad bridges on the North and South Canadian were completely washed out, along with the bridges on State Highway 69 and Highway Number 9.
Well, I remember how destructive the Canadian rivers could be.
Yeah.
How they would just wipe out the highway bridges, railroad bridges, and it destroyed the Fort Smith and Western Bridge that went from through Indianola and over to Hanna and then on up further west. And for months we knocked out the Katy Bridge here, and they had to install what they call the Bailey Bridge so that people could have access across there. And sometime during the 1940s, the rivers had knocked out the bridges, and there was a truck driver hauling eggs, came up from Texas, and he stopped downtown and asked about the river, and they told him you couldn't get through. And he said, well, I've got to get these eggs or they'll ruin. So he started off and ended up in the river, and that was a body of water called Egg Lake, because his truck went off.
Egg Lake.
I like that.
The bridges go out, the railroads go out. I don't know how many times.
Yeah. 40. They said we did some research. They said in 43 that it really got bad in 43. I guess they lost both bridges on South Inc and North Canadian.
Yeah, it's probably 43. Yeah. A little before I went to work out there on the track. Pretty probably. I can't recall all of it back.
Yeah.
But 44, I caught some of that working, you know, on the railroad. And one guy ran off on the highway. I can remember one guy that getting killed in all the overflow. He was driving a sea mine, and he washed out, and they didn't know it, and he ran off and he killed them.
Wow.
And on the railroad, I know about 3 got drowned. Working repairing,
Yeah.
had tools on them. I think 2 of them never even come up. Got worn out.
Wow.
But outside of that, that's just about all I can remember. They got killed on them.
Yeah.
But I was seeing them bridges go out. It was something, it wouldn't be the water mostly. They wasn't stout enough to drift. That's what most of it.
Pushed it and drifts was catching.
Yeah, it caused all that damage. I seen them put railroad cars on the railroad over there try to hold them, but I seen 2 or 3 of them just go in the lake.
Wow.
Yeah.
This flooding event occurred in the middle of World War II, and the Katy Railroad was one of the main transporters of munitions, soldiers, and supplies for our troops. The financial impact of the 1943 flood was devastating also to the area's cotton farmers. The cotton harvest of the fall of 1943 was 1/3 its annual yield.
The lake come in, cut out lots of work. A whole bunch of work. Everybody had something to do. And I chopped cotton 10 hours a day 10 cents, you know, 10 cents, $1 a day, 10 cents an hour. The first radio we had in our house, that's what we bought it, me and my mother. I think I was about 13 maybe, I can't recall exactly, with 10 cents an hour.